Chapter 11. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few days after the holoification incident, Captain General Yamamoto moved fast, issuing a flurry of personnel assignments to fill all the open positions. Aya Hachiko, 9th generation descendant of the B clan and former direct guard of the Shing Army General Corps commander, replaced Yoruchi Shihoin as captain of the 2nd Division. Aizen Sosuke, former lieutenant of the 5th Division, took over from Hirako Mako as captain. Aizen also recommended Ikamaru Jin, formerly the 5th seat of the 5th Division, who was promptly promoted to lieutenant. Yamamoto also promoted his loyal Kamimura Sajin, assigning him to replace Ikawa Love as captain of the 7th Division. Tozen Kaname, the sole survivor of the holoification, also successfully snagged a captain spot, thanks to Aizen's backing, replacing Kensei Mugiroma as captain of the 9th Division. As for the 3rd and 12th Divisions, finding suitable replacements proved impossible. The spots were temporarily filled by their respective lieutenants, Sentaro Kotetsu and Mayuri Kuratsuchi. Sentaro wasn't up to the task, while Mayuri, though skilled, was utterly untrustworthy. In the following days, patrols of Soul Reapers, selected elites from various squads, were constantly out and about, day and night. Their intensity and focus were a far cry from that of regular Shinigami. Meanwhile, the rank and file trained harder than ever. The new captains were eager to prove themselves too, flexing their muscles. Amidst all this, Uehara Shiraha decided to be proactive and volunteered to guard Hanamachi. Flower Street, located in the most bustling part of the Siriidii, was alive with the scent of blossoms, spring in the air, bright lights, and endless laughter, prosperity, beauty. Currently, inside Flower Street's most exclusive winery, Shiraha Uehara and Shunsui Kairaku were enjoying themselves. Each of them was attended to by a gorgeous young woman. The two serving Shiraha were top tier in every way, looks, manners, temperament, and figure. And they catered to his every whim. Kairaku watched Shiraha being fawned over by the courtesans, green with envy, and grumbled, "Damn it, does being handsome just get you everything?" His own companions were nice, but they lacked the maturity of the Oiran. More importantly, they didn't have that aura of complete, unwavering devotion. Every Oiran was a flawless beauty, perfect in every aspect. But not just anyone could avail themselves of their services. The Oiran had the right to refuse customers, and Uehara Shiraha was the only patron who could enjoy their top-notch services free of charge. Kairaku stood, preparing to leave Flower Street. Without Lisa Yadamaru, he had to handle official business himself. He hadn't found a new lieutenant yet. Honestly, Uehara Shiraha would be perfect for the job. They were close, and Shiraha was definitely capable, but Kairaku didn't bring it up, and Shiraha didn't ask. It was an unspoken agreement between them. After all, if you put two slackers in one office, who's going to do any work? Having a good time? Heading out already, Kairaku. Shiraha reached out and plucked a grape from the hand of one of the Oiran. Gotta maintain appearances, being a captain and all. Kairaku glanced at him. The 1st Division's gotta be swamped. Shouldn't you be working? Shiraha pulled the two beauties closer. This is work. Protecting Flower Street is my duty, and as a man who appreciates the finer things, you wouldn't want anything to happen to these lovely ladies, would you? The courtesans showered him with kisses. Lord Shiraha, you're the best. It's such an honor to be protected by you. Yeesh. Kairaku, seeing the camaraderie, just threw up his hands. He turned and reluctantly left. Then, Shiraha called out, "Keep the music playing, keep dancing." Kairaku's covering the bill tonight. Kairaku, who was already feeling a little down, nearly tripped, then practically teleported out of there. In the end, Shiraha didn't actually let Kairaku pay. He charged it to the 1st Division. After all, guarding Flower Street day and night was exhausting. A little later, Shiraha returned to his room, refreshed. At that moment, he received a system notification. Ding. Congratulations on completing the daily task. Relax. Reward, Stand-in White Album Proficiency Plus, Instant Step +1. Not bad, not bad. Getting stronger. Shiraha nodded in satisfaction, then pulled out the horse talisman from his personal dimension. After experimenting with it for days, he had figured out some of its abilities. First, it didn't work if you were just a little buzzed, you had to be on the verge of being totally drunk to use the talisman to sober up. It was pretty smart. Second, it had some restorative effect after you'd, expended yourself. But it couldn't restore lost spiritual pressure or stamina. Third, it could perfectly restore broken items, which consumed spiritual pressure. The amount of spiritual pressure depended on the size, complexity, and completeness of the item. What he hadn't been able to test yet was whether the talisman could remove the side effects of hollowification or repair a damaged Bankai. If it could do those things, it would be a game changer. Lately, he'd been focused on relaxing, grinding daily tasks, and studying the talisman. Vice Captain Chojiro and Yamamoto had been surprisingly agreeable lately, granting every request. Even something as ridiculous as guarding Flower Street had been approved without hesitation. Shiraha suspected what was up, but he wasn't worried. He was still getting paid and goofing off. He'd just keep this up until the end of the story, then become invincible. Meanwhile, in the 5th Division barracks, Aizen, wearing his white haori, asked Ikemura Jin, have you located Hirako and the others? They're probably hiding out in the human world. But the tech team can't pinpoint their location, Jin replied with a grin. Aizen didn't seem concerned. It'll take time, but they'll surface eventually. Have you had any luck investigating the Otsutsuki clan? Jin shook his head. Neither the Soul Society nor the record books have anything on that family. I'm afraid it's a hoax. Then, he suggested, should we launch a full-scale search for that Otsutsuki Naruto, Lord Aizen? After a moment, Aizen shook his head. We don't know his intentions yet. We'll wait until he shows himself again. The priority is to obtain the complete Hogyoku and conduct more advanced hollowification experiments. Yes, Lord Aizen. Jin bowed, his expression one of complete obedience. Chapter 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside Captain Yamamoto's office at the 1st Division headquarters, Yamamoto Genryosai Shigekuni, after reviewing the Technology Development Bureau's report, asked Kuratsuchi Mayuri, is the situation truly this dire? Kuratsuchi Mayuri nodded. Absolutely. With our current manpower shortage, hollow numbers are skyrocketing. If the spiritual power in Hueco Mundo outweighs that of Soul Society, the barrier between our worlds could collapse, causing a catastrophic distortion. Understood. For now, this information stays within these walls. Yamamoto Genryosai said after a moment of thought. Meanwhile, in the 1st Division office, Uehara Shiraha glanced up at Kuratsuchi Mayuri as he walked past. Then, turning to Okiga Genshiro, a 3rd Division officer, he asked, Hey, Genshiro, is that expense report all squared away? I didn't get dinged for using public funds on wining and dining, did I? Okiga Genshiro, a man who looked every bit his age with snow-white hair and beard, had a stubborn patch of black hair clinging to the right side of his head. The stern Soul Reaper replied in a low voice, Uehara Shiraha, 30 million rings in 1 month, what the heck is going on? Rings were the Soul Society's currency, with a purchasing power similar to the Japanese yen. A lieutenant's salary was typically several million rings, making 30 million equivalent to their yearly pay. Spending that kind of money in the pleasure district and charging it to the 1st Division was outrageous. Any other officer would have had Okiga Genshiro's Zanpakuto at their throat. Uehara Shiraha shrugged, feigning innocence. I think it's highway robbery, too. Are those ladies plated in gold? I couldn't stop the tab from running, but I'll take responsibility. Even if the red light district throws me in the slammer and embarrasses the 1st Division, what can I do? I've only been a 7th seat for a few years, and the wife hasn't socked away a dime. How am I supposed to cover that? Speaking of which, Chonya, with your seniority and cushy salary, you must have a nice nest egg saved up, right? Let's just forget about it this time. Don't let it happen again. Without another word, Chonya made a beeline for Uehara Bayou to settle the account. Any more conversation, and his retirement fund would vanish. After resolving the issue of the bad debt, Chonya Genshiro reluctantly added, Bayou, don't forget our duties. Try to be a little more serious and responsible. Uehara Bayou nodded repeatedly, his tone sincere. You're absolutely right. Look at Captain Kensei and Captain Hirako. They're always so diligent and hardworking, dedicating themselves to the Soul Society. They're true role models for our generation. They are worthy of learning from. Shinigami that's serious and responsible must be getting promoted and making bank by now, right? That while the Godiai 13 had become the strongest military force in the Soul Society, eclipsing the Stealth Force and the Kido Corps, the corrupt nobles only considered Soul Reapers of noble birth as human. Other Shinigami, even captains, were seen as expendable. Okiga Genshiro's face darkened. He couldn't continue down that road. As the third seat of the First Division, he knew all too well the hardships those captains had endured. But those things weren't meant to be said aloud. Uehara Shiraha strolled out of the First Division office, clearly pleased. As he reached the training grounds, he shouted, "All right, everyone, thanks for all the hard work. Afternoon teas on the 7th seat." He'd pocketed at least 70% of that 30 million. A little something for the folks could be considered taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Long live 7th seat Uehara. Lord Baiyu, you're so dreamy. I want to give you. Hearing the cheers, Chonya, still in the office, turned even paler and nearly had a heart attack. Uehara Baiyu sang happily, "Oh, what a day for the people to enjoy." As he sang, he glanced at his daily tasks. Make a new friend, daily quest. The sun is shining, the wind is gentle. This is the perfect day for some networking. Go make a new friend. Reward, random attribute points *2. If he wanted to make friends, the 4th Division was the place to go. It was full of kind, cute girls. However, Uehara Shiraha was careful, only making his move after confirming the mother hen guarding the coop wasn't around. No sooner had he arrived at the 4th Division's barracks than he heard someone yelling, "Why haven't my injuries healed yet? You cowards look down on the 11th Division, and on me, the 20th seat." Hearing the voice, Uehara Shiraha hurried to the treatment room. There he saw a sleazy-looking guy with a mustache berating 3 female nurses. The girls looked distressed. Uehara Shiraha vaguely recognized the 20th seat from the 11th Division. His name was Araki Makizo, Baraki for short. He'd appeared in the anime and had been the 10th seat back then. He was mostly a comedic character. But when the two-dimensional world became reality, he wasn't so funny. The same year Uehara Shiraha had enrolled in the Soul Reaper Academy, Zaraki Kenpachi had defeated the 10th Kenpachi Oniwashi and become the 11th Kenpachi. Oniwashi and his predecessor, the 9th Kenpachi Gasuk, along with Rokuguruma Kensei and Ogu Kamamura Sajin, were all contenders for the title of weakest captain. When the 11th Division welcomed Zaraki Kenpachi, its whole vibe changed. And they already looked down on the 4th Division, and now they were even worse. Uehara Shiraha stepped forward, standing between the nurses and the patient, smiling. "Hey, 11th Division warrior, do you know who I am?" "Huh? Who are you?" Araki Makizo, still lying on the bed, glanced at Uehara Shiraha. "I don't care who you are." "Ah. 1st Division. 7th seat. You're Lord Uehara Shiraha." Spotting the chrysanthemum crest of the 7th seat on Uehara Shiraha's arm, Araki Makizo's eyes nearly popped out. He scrambled to sit up and salute. The captain of the 1st Division was several ranks above the captain of his division. Although Uehara Baiyu was only the 7th seat, his influence wasn't far from that of a lieutenant from another squad. "If you're injured, don't get up." Uehara Shiraha gently pressed Araki Makizo back down. Araki Makizo didn't dare to resist. "Lord Uehara, my injury is gone." "No, I don't think so. You're still seriously hurt and require the right care." Uehara Shiraha applied a bit more pressure. Araki Makizo felt his bones creaking, unable to resist. He could only nod frantically. "You're right, sir. I'm gravely wounded and need attention. Don't just stand there. Come practice." Uehara Shiraha smiled, gesturing to the nurses who were still in a daze. Realizing Uehara Shiraha was standing up for them, tears welled up in the eyes of the 4th Division medics, and their faces flushed. "Thank you, Mr. Uehara. Mr. Uehara, you're so dashing. Lord Uehara, please don't pay attention to those awful nurses." And with that, the 3 girls commenced treatment on Araki Makizo, as they engaged Uehara Shiraha with light-hearted chattering. Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Among the beautiful women, Shiraha Uehara finished his daily routine *ding. Congrats on completing your daily task, make a new friend. Reward, +1 spiritual pressure, +1 ghost, star. His smile grew brighter, making the girls even more infatuated. Next to him, Aramaki Makizo was in agony but held back his cries, not wanting to disturb Uehara Nane's elegance. Just then, Captain Unohana Retsu of the 4th Division returned to the barracks with her medicine basket. She noticed her 3rd seat officer, Kotetsu Yun, muttering toward the medical room. Uehara-kun. Hi, Uehara Nanes, I'm Torot Yun, 3rd seat of the 4th Division. Nice to meet you. I like flower arranging and sewing, and if you'd let me, I could do some for you. Her voice trailed off, almost silent. Unohana Retsu, with a gentle frown, approached and said in a soft but firm voice, "Yun, what are you doing? Have you checked on the patients?" "Ah. Captain." Startled by the voice, the slender Kotetsu Yun flinched like a deer caught in headlights and stammered, I haven't seen them yet. I want to, but I'm too scared." Seeing Yun's hesitation, Unohana Retsu became curious. "This is the 4th Division barracks. What's there to be afraid of? Is there a monster in there?" That she slowly walked toward the treatment room. Inside, Uehara Shiraha was chatting happily with a few nurses, and the atmosphere was lively. He was a seasoned pro, easily charming these fledglings. After a gourmet meal, it was nice to have some simple comfort food for a change. Suddenly, Uehara Shiraha shuddered, feeling a chill. "Looks like you're having a good time. Mind if I join in?" Unohana Retsu asked, her voice measured. Uehara Shiraha-kun, Squad 1, 7th seat. Who wouldn't be angry if someone was trying to steal the prize they'd worked so hard for? Did he really think she, the original Kenpachi, wouldn't use her sword? The 3 nurses were terrified by Unohana Retsu's appearance, huddling together like frightened birds. Uehara Shiraha recovered quickly and said, "Captain Unohana, I'm all about saving the world. I was just asking your team members about their experiences and knowledge in healing and saving lives." Unohana Retsu regained her usual composure and replied, "If Uehara Nanashir is so eager to learn, you can ask me for advice anytime. I'm quite knowledgeable." Her meaning was clear, try me. I definitely will next time. I won't bother you today. Goodbye, Captain Unohana. Captain Millennium had a strong presence, but Uehara Shiraha, the Flower Street immortal, wasn't about to back down. Unohana Retsu was slightly taken aback by Uehara Shiraha's quick exit. For someone so young, he was quite bold, but she quickly regained her composure and turned to leave. After she left, the 3 young nurses exchanged glances and then ran out. "Don't go. I really need treatment this time." Araki Makizo cried inside the ward. Outside, Kotetsu Yun watched Uehara Shiraha disappear, tears in her eyes. Meanwhile, in a secret location in the human world, the recently defected Shihuin Yoruchi said to Uehara Kisuk and Tsukabashi Tessai. "The Soul Society is probably too busy to worry about us right now, but we need to watch out for Aizen. And keep an eye on that Otsutsuki guy. He's an insider, and his Zanpakuto ability is really strange." "The Otsutsuki clan? Never heard of them," Yoruchi said, confused. "It might not be Otsutsuki, and it might not be a Zanpakuto ability." Uehara Kisuk recounted all the strange abilities of Otsutsuki Naruto. "Very capable, interesting." Yoruchi's eyes lit up, then she suddenly realized, does Zaraki Kenpachi have that kind of ability too? Could it be him? The Zaraki Kenpachi Yoruchi was referring to was the 8th Kenpachi, Zaraki Futsumi. His Bankai was incredibly powerful, and he could maintain it permanently. As a result, even imprisoned in Mugen, he could still use Bankai. In Bankai, Zaraki Futsumi could merge with the entire Soul Society in spirit form, controlling everything, living and non-living, the pavilions, towers, flowers, birds, trees, and people of the Soul Society were all his eyes, ears, hands, and feet. The clones he created were like ghosts in the Soul Society, appearing and disappearing without a trace. Invulnerable to attack, all-knowing and all-controlling, it was a truly terrifying Bankai. Uehara Shiraha shook his head. Infernal affairs, seals his Zanpakuto. Once his Zanpakuto was sealed, Zaraki Futsumi could no longer move about freely. Besides, Zaraki Futsumi's Bankai was only effective within the Soul Society, and more importantly, even Zaraki Futsumi's Bankai wasn't that strange, just untraceable. Uehara Shiraha believed that only certain inherited artifacts could achieve those abilities, like the Ise family's 8 mirror swords, the Tsunyashiro family's mirror of Enra. In that case, I'll pay closer attention to that kind of information in the future, Yoruchi said. Intrigued, Uehara Shiraha pushed up the brim of his hat and said, one more thing. I need equipment and data to help stabilize the situation. And I need to take care of some things in my private lab. I'm counting on you. I'll head back tonight and bring your toys, Yoruchi said casually, as the former head of the Shihuan clan, captain of the 2nd Division, commander of the Onmitsukido, and commander-in-chief of the executive militia. Even with a wanted poster out for her in the Soul Society, she could enter and leave as she pleased. Back in his room, Uehara Shiraha was meticulously cleaning the walls and furniture with a horse talisman, leaving no speck of dust untouched. Everything in the room had been brought from Rukongai, because he told everyone it felt like home. But it was just to guard against a certain creep in Mugen. Finally, after using the horse talisman in a corner, an abnormal spiritual pressure briefly appeared and then vanished. He sighed in relief and whispered to himself, I know you can hear and see, but I just don't want you to hear or see. Your sword is sealed, and you're in infernal affairs. What can you do to me? Uehara Shiraha had no personal problem with Zaraki Futsumi. After all, he was just another unfortunate soul. Like most tragedies in the Soul Society, Zaraki Futsumi's had been caused by the nobles. Uehara Shiraha was just annoyed by his lack of respect for privacy. Chapter 14. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The 8th floor of the central underground prison, the cage, held the most dangerous criminals, beings whose spiritual power posed a threat to the entire Soul Society. Even the twin blades of purification couldn't destroy them. They were locked away for eternal torment. In that endless void, Zaraki Fuya, the man who once mobilized the Soul King Palace's Zero Squad, slowly opened his small, sharp eyes. Confusion and shock etched on his face. He muttered to himself, his voice echoing in the emptiness. It wasn't domination, absorption, or destruction. It just expelled my spiritual pressure, without leaving a trace. I can't even pinpoint his location. How is that possible? Yulu Tukuliu, do you know what's going on? As soon as he spoke, a stunning woman appeared before him. She was dressed in ancient robes, with wide sleeves and a long skirt, her eyes hidden behind a black blindfold. This was Yulu Tukuliu, the manifestation of Zaraki Fuya's Bankai. Back in the 11th Division, he was often seen talking to himself, but he was actually conversing with the ever-present Yulu Tukuliu. But Yulu Tukuliu didn't offer comfort. Instead, she said sarcastically, of course I know. It's because he's smart. Look at this mysterious guy, then look at Aizen, and then look at you. You're both soul reapers, but the difference is night and day. How did you even figure out my ability to transform souls in Rukongai? I reported it to the Central 46, he replied, and proposed a soldier transformation plan. They approved it. And then what happened? They were worried about me controlling the modified soldiers, so they charged me with unauthorized soul modification. Then the Zero Squad showed up, and I had to turn myself into the cage. Yeah, that's the Soul Society for you. Yulu Tukuliu scoffed. That's why Aizen and this mysterious guy are keeping their heads down. Why are you still so stubborn? Just give it up. Zaraki Fuya, bound by heavy seals, shook his head. I am a soul reaper. My duty is to eradicate all hollows. That guy is in the first division. I'll find him. Anyone who hides their strength like Aizen needs to be watched closely. Back in his room, Uehara Shiraha lay on his bed, feeling much more relaxed. It wasn't that he was paranoid, but he had too many secrets to risk exposure. The Soul Society might seem peaceful, but it had Aizen, the ambitious schemer, on the inside, and the invisible Wandenrake lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce. One wrong move could be fatal, and these Soul Reapers were great at infighting, but they were cowards when it came to external threats. Take Zaraki Fuya, for example. His ability was practically the backbone of the Soul Society. As long as the Soul Society existed, he couldn't die, not even with Captain Commander Yamamoto's Ryujin Jaka. You couldn't burn him without burning the whole place down. But against the Quincy, who controlled spirit particles, Zaraki Fuya was useless. Then there was the Dragon King's son-in-law from the Kachiki family, that lapdog Zanpakuto whose Bankai could incite others to rebel against their own Zanpakuto. He didn't even have to try, he just screamed target. Not to mention the endless power struggles and dirty dealings among the nobles and Soul Reapers, even the Zero Squad, who were supposed to be above it all, seemed to be hoarding the best stuff, keeping the Godii 13 at arm's length. Anyone powerful enough got snatched up and promoted to the Zero Squad, ensuring they maintained their grip on all the key technology. The Zero Squad still controlled all the Zanpakuto forging techniques. Nemea Otsu knew every Zanpakuto in the Soul Society like the back of his hand. And Captain Commander Hayasobichibai, he was practically the embodiment of Zanpakuto. He named the Zanpakuto, the Shirkai, and the Bankai. He even knew the names of the new Zanpakuto as soon as they were handed out. His Shirkai could control the darkness of the world and inflict massive damage on anything black. And what color were the Soul Reapers' robes? Black. Think about that for a minute. Late that night, wearing camouflage glasses, Uehara Shiraha slipped into a hollow state and headed towards the execution grounds. Outside the 1st Division barracks, he saw a familiar figure, but the patrolling Soul Reaper seemed blind to his presence. It was Aizen Sosuke, the new captain of the 5th Division. Using his Kyoka Suigetsu, Aizen was heading towards the Central Underground Assembly Hall, where the Central 46 handled government affairs. But those sages and judges were resting in the pure spirit ground, so Aizen's destination had to be the Great Spirit Book repository beneath the Assembly Hall. That repository automatically recorded everything that happened in the Soul Society. It held all the vital information since the Soul Society's creation, including forbidden techniques, essentially the Soul Society's own Index Librorum Prohibitorum. Like the pure spirit ground, it was strictly off-limits, and even captains couldn't enter without permission. In the entire story, Aizen was the only one who managed to steal information from it. Uehara Shiraha knew that Aizen learned about Urahara Kisuke's Hogyoku from the Great Spirit Book repository. From there, Aizen deduced that combining the two Hogyoku would create a perfect one, and so began Aizen's relentless quest to steal everything from Urahara. The spiritual pressure cloaking device, the Hogyoku extraction technology. Urahara Kisuke practically gave it all away. Uehara Shiraha sighed, retracting his gaze. Aizen, you gotta rely on yourself. You can't keep ripping off Urahara. The poor guy's almost bald because of you. Then, using flash steps and space teleportation, Uehara Shiraha quickly arrived at the execution grounds. The entire execution platform was forged from thick, heavy murder stones, designed to contain and amplify the power of the twin blades of purification, the instrument used to execute Soul Reapers. Those supposedly invincible twin blades, stronger than 1,000,000 Zanpakuto combined, were shattered by Ichigo Kurosaki with a single swing. Sinking into the ground in his hollow state, he passed through layers of murder stone that could perfectly block spiritual pressure and spirit particles. But it was no match for him. Suddenly, the darkness gave way to light. A brightly lit secret base lay before him. Score. Urahara Kisuke's secret base, free for the taking. The place was completely surrounded by murder stones, and the only entrance was a door also made of the same material. A powerful spirit barrier isolated sound and smell. No matter how much noise you made here, nobody would hear you. Uehara Shiraha also saw a hidden secret laboratory. Uehara must have been using the Technology Development Bureau for his personal projects. Now it all belongs to me. Passing through another spirit barrier, he found a misty hot spring. He remembered that this hot spring was a miniature version of the Zero Squad's Blood Pond Hell, with excellent healing properties. He wasn't interested in healing, though. He just wanted to soak after training. As he imagined sinking into the warm water, he heard a splash. A dark-skinned beauty with short purple hair and a muscular physique stretched through the mist and sighed contentedly. Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the edge of the hot spring, Shiroha Uehara's eyes snapped wide open as he chanted, "Don't look at anything indecent. Don't look at anything indecent." Yoruchi Shihoin, realizing something was amiss, glanced up and saw Shiroha Uehara chanting away. What's the point of all the chanting if you're going to stare? She thought dryly. She quickly ducked back into the misty spring water, and the view vanished. After all, the main plot was still a century away, and the characters were different now. This newly arrived version of Yoruchi hadn't yet adopted the carefree attitude she'd have later. Shiroha Uehara, with a perfectly straight face, said in his most gentlemanly voice, "Don't worry, I'm actually blind. I can't see a thing. No need to cover up." He was trying to cosplay as Tozen Kaname. But thinking about it, Tozen Kaname would rather cover his mouth and nose with a mask than his blind eyes, and he could still watch monitors and even use a telescope. If that guy was blind, well. Yoruchi Shihoin was speechless at Uehara Bayu's half-hearted attempt, but she didn't dwell on it. "Otsutsuki Naruto," she said directly, "you know who I am." "What are you doing here?" Uehara Shiraha shrugged. "Relax. Our Otsutsuki family loves peace and would never side with the likes of Aizen." Shihoin Yoruchi started to breathe a sigh of relief, but Uehara Shiraha added, "Unless you pay extra." Shihoin Yoruchi clenched her fist, then released it. "Why haven't I ever heard of the Otsutsuki family?" she asked cautiously. "Because, like werewolves, we Otsutsuki are a secret clan hidden outside Rukongai." Uehara Shiraha looked wistful. "When I was born, my father wrote me a poem. When you were born, the entire Soul Society whispered your name, Arthas. And you shall be crowned king." Shihoin Yoruchi frowned. "Wait a minute. Aren't you called Otsutsuki Naruto? What the heck is Arthas? And the entire Soul Society? There's only one king in this world, the Soul King. What kind of king are you trying to be?" Uehara Bayu shrugged and said calmly, "Arthas is my nickname. My father's kind of into Western stuff, so he gave me a foreign nickname. And there's more than one kind of king. Can't I be the old king? Or the pirate king? Pirates are the freest people in the world. They die randomly, like in some free countries, where you can eat all you can eat seafood." Yoruchi Shihoin's frown deepened enough to kill a fly. What kind of king is the bold king? What a load of nonsense. If this Otsutsuki Naruto didn't have such strange abilities, she'd tear his mouth off. Not a word of truth. The old king. I'm not getting any younger, after all. Uehara Bayu's eyes brightened. "Why don't you become my queen?" "Why wouldn't I be the queen?" Yoruchi Shihoin laughed, anger lacing her voice. Uehara Shiraha said confidently, "As a man, you've got to keep your options open. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. But you'll have to change your habits. Only I am allowed to see your body. If you can agree to that, you might still have a shot at being my queen." In her heart, Yoruchi Shihoin was cursing Otsutsuki Naruto with every breath. "I'm taking a bath. You barged in. How is that my fault? And when did I agree to be your stupid princess?" Her fist clenched. It was hard. Harder than ever. She was one step away from mastering the ultimate secret of boxing. What a loser, that she'd had enough. Yoruchi Shihoin pushed off the ground, flying into the air and vanishing instantly. When she reappeared, she was dressed. She now wore the black Shinigami uniform of the Onmitsukido. The outfit was a tight-fitting combat suit, the upper body a backless dress around the neck, and her right arm wrapped in dense bandages. The purple-haired Yoruchi now glared at Uehara Baiyu with golden eyes. Uehara Baiyu, who'd been enjoying the view, smiled slightly. "Why, want to dance too?" Before he could finish, Yoruchi Shihuan's figure blurred and disappeared again. Uehara Baiyu immediately turned his head to the right. Flash Step Yoruchi. It lives up to the name. Although he couldn't clearly see Shihuan Yoruchi's movements, Uehara Baiyu, after initially releasing Dankong, possessed a strong spatial awareness. Therefore, he could pinpoint Shihuan Yoruchi's location at any time. On the other side, Shihuan Yoruchi's body resolidified. An amazing ability. Even if he can't react in time, he can still use it. The former captain of the 2nd Division looked solemn. Hearing about it from Uehara Kisuk and the others couldn't convey the feeling of powerlessness and weirdness. Yoruchi Shihuan had moved at blinding speed, faster than spiritual perception. Her full-strength attack had gone straight through him, like hitting a ghost, completely undetected. Uehara Shiraha simply smiled and didn't take the compliment to heart. Without hesitation, Shihuan Yoruchi used Flash Step again, her body weaving, and attacking repeatedly. In an instant, it seemed several Shihuan Yoruchi appeared around Uehara Shiraha, each aiming at his vital points and executing acupuncture-like strikes. Muda. Uehara Baiyu put his hands on his waist, leaned back slightly, and channeled Dio. Even in his intangible state, he calmly controlled the Shadow Clone to cast a horse spell on himself. He hadn't forgotten how the perfected Aizen died. Aizen, fused with the Hogyoku, was supposed to be immortal and able to evolve infinitely. But he had become reckless and had given up the way of survival. Uehara Kisuk touched him with a ghost magic mark, and he was sealed. Uehara Baiyu wouldn't make the same mistake. Unsurprisingly, Shihuan Yoruchi's lightning-fast attack struck nothing but air. She flipped nimbly, landing gracefully on her feet. Chapter 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The instant Yoruchi landed, Baiyu turned, surprised. "Did you just do something?" Yoruchi frowned, muttering, "Was that an illusion?" That she quickly dismissed the thought. If it were just an illusion, there's no way he'd lock onto her location every single time. A simple trick wouldn't cut it. Yoruchi, unfazed, suddenly grinned. "Haven't fought someone like you in ages. This is getting interesting." Her spiritual pressure began to condense. Baiyu shook his head. "Such obvious baiting. Oh well, guess I'll show you our Otsutsuki clan's God-given magic weapon." He pulled out a pair of plain gloves and slipped them on. Death gloves. Level, D-level growth item, type, extraordinary item, ability, absorb spiritual pressure, convert to flexible flames. Can fuse spiritual energy particles to evolve, unlocking advanced modes. Currently in normal mode. Introduction, 1, aka the X gloves. From Reborn. The signature weapon of the Vongala 10th, Tsunayoshi Sawada, born from Reborn's pet, Leon. 2. Obtained after completing, Special Mission 2, join Maou Spiritual Academy. 3. These are just regular gloves, plain old mittens. Despaired the Vongala 10th, the death gloves are D-level because they're ordinary gloves without extra energy, useless in combat, but with spiritual pressure, they're actually pretty decent. Plus, they have potential to grow, making them a solid item. Seeing them, Yoruchi laughed. "Seriously? Regular gloves? Mittens? You call that a God-given weapon? What, are you mocking me, that God-given weapon fanatic? You trying to get a rise out of me?" As one of the Soul Society's oldest noble families, the Shihuan clan has a ton of God-given weapons. Calling them God-given weapon fanatics isn't wrong. Baiyu using God-given weapons against her was like trying to teach a master how to paint. Baiyu just smiled, condensing spiritual pressure. The gloves instantly glowed. The mittens became shiny steel gauntlets. A large D appeared on the right glove. The next second, Baiyu vanished. Seeing the gloves change, Yoruchi was shocked, but when she saw Baiyu closing in, she smirked. "I'm the queen of hide-and-seek, and your attacks way too telegraphed." Yoruchi thrust her right hand forward, a burst of Kido-infused fist wind. Lightning strike. Terrifying lightning spiritual power engulfed the area, crackling through the air, with flash step, Soul Reapers move in a straight line. He couldn't dodge, but then Yoruchi's eyes widened. Before the lightning hit, Baiyu disappeared. She planted her legs and spun into a kick, but nobody was there. Yoruchi realized something was wrong. A burning heat was coming from above. She bent backward, narrowly avoiding an aerial attack. Baiyu, upside down in the air, vanished again, reappearing at a distance, floating in the air. Baiyu looked down at Yoruchi, grinning. "How's my falling palm technique?" Yoruchi stared at the charred palm print. Spiritual pressure turned into flames. And why is that flash step so weird? That she glared at Baiyu in the sky. She focused on the changed gloves, thinking, his Zanpakuto's power isn't fire. It has to be the gloves. Equipment like that doesn't just show up. Is there really an Otsutsuki clan? Could he really become a king? Am I really his queen? No way. Absolutely not. Baiyu trash-talked from above. What's wrong? Hesitating. Not so confident in your speed now, Yoruchi the Flash. Yoruchi vanished. The instant she disappeared, Baiyu tilted his head and punched her in the face, messing up her hair. He waved his right hand, and an invisible flower of fire bloomed. It seemed Yoruchi was completely engulfed. But she was gone again. Her flash step was faster than the flames. Every time Baiyu thought he had her, he hit nothing. He didn't mind. They exchanged 10 blows in a flash. The speed was so great, even lieutenant-level Shinigami couldn't follow. Yoruchi was fighting at full power, but she couldn't take down this strange enemy. The flames from his gloves changed his trajectory and expanded his attack range. And no matter how fast she moved, he reacted in time, even if he couldn't see her. This guy was weird, like Aizen, with unfathomable strength. Baiyu, mid-combat, actually commented. Nice flash step. But speed is power only goes so far. A cat, no matter how fast, can only catch small fish. He wasn't wrong. Yoruchi was born into a noble family, but she didn't have the experience of the 1,000-year-old captains, nor the broken talent of the wall hangers. She's fast, but fancy tricks are useless in Bleach. Only strong spiritual pressure makes you strong, or the ability to be a cheater, so Yoruchi has no real achievements in Bleach, other than bullying the weak. Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Uehara Baiyu's teasing, Shifenjuan Yoruchi arched an eyebrow, a sly grin spreading across her face. It's not just for catching little fish and shrimp, you know. It's perfect for trapping a sneaky mouse, too. So, tell me, why have you been dodging my attacks this whole time? With such a handy ability, why aren't you using it? The answer's pretty obvious. You can't use that weird trick when you're on the offensive. Looks like this clever kitty's got you cornered. That with a flourish, she tugged on the bandage in her hand. Baiyu then noticed the bandage on her right arm had extended quite a bit, but that wasn't even the worst part. The other end of the bandage was now wrapped tightly around him. An invisible force was suppressing his spiritual pressure. No way. When did you? Baiyu exclaimed, shocked. Yoruchi replied coldly. Your ability's sealed. Just give it up, Naruto Otsutsuki. You're done. Baiyu hung his head, his shoulders shaking slightly. Maybe you're right. I've been blind. My queen betrayed me, and now my ability's gone. Pride really is a killer, especially when you're so sure of yourself. Are you trying to comfort yourself? Wait a minute. Yoruchi suddenly realized something. She swung her right arm, and a captain-level Hakuta strike was headed straight for Baiyu's head. Bang, Baiyu, still bound by the magic weapon, vanished, leaving behind only a pair of ordinary wool gloves. Seeing the bizarre sight, Yoruchi almost let out a meow of surprise. She leaped back several times, instantly reaching the killing stone. Back against the wall, she scanned the area warily. Seeing Yoruchi's freak out, Baiyu felt a twinge of guilt. Too bad there wasn't a camera. This would have been a priceless moment. The whole fight, from the first attack, had been carried out by a shadow clone, between God-given ice armor and Doraemon, who knew what crazy gadgets Yoruchi might pull out. So there was no way Baiyu was going to fight her personally. besides, the Shadow Clone didn't fear death, and he could still gain combat experience. If there was one thing it was cautious. Watch your back, Aizen. This is how you play the hiding game. You're not ready. Baiyu grinned, watching Yoruchi like a scared kitten, glued to the wall and inching away. Before she bolted, Yoruchi grabbed a big bag. Baiyu's first instinct was to stop her. That stuff was his. He wasn't about to let Yoruchi take it. This whole base belonged to him now, everything in it was his. But, playing the long game, Baiyu restrained himself. Once Yoruchi had finally left, practically running away, Baiyu picked up the dead air gloves that had fallen on the floor and wandered around the base. After a while, he muttered to himself. The remaining equipment, barriers, everything, it's gotta be worth over 1 billion rings, no wonder everyone wants to be a captain. It's a goldmine. And you didn't call me when you were making all this cash. You deserve to get robbed. Baiyu helped himself to the base with a clear conscience. After fiddling around in the space for a while, Baiyu pulled out a small flag and stuck it in the ground. It bore the same skull as the Straw Hat Pirates. Underneath was a line of smaller words. Otsutsuki family private property. Trespassers will be fined 200 million. With that, Baiyu clapped his hands, took one last satisfied look at his newly acquired base, and nodded. It had been a productive night. He'd scored a high-level secret base for free, and gotten a gorgeous sparring partner. Talk about a win. The next morning, Baiyu woke up early, feeling great. With the secret base, moving around would be much easier. Plus, it was an opportunity to connect with Yoruchi and Uehara Shiraha. Those two were sitting on a goldmine of goodies, and Baiyu was planning to take it all. Things were definitely looking up. He checked his daily tasks. Fishing, daily task. Today's weather is sunny with a gentle breeze. You decide to grab your favorite fishing rod and head to the river to catch some fish. Reward, random attribute *2. This task was an old favorite. Baiyu's high-end fishing gear was all ready for this one, so, while the other soldiers of the First Division were training hard, Baiyu put on a bamboo hat, grabbed his fishing rod, and quietly set off for Rukongai. He was going to Rukongai only because the fish there were wilder. Definitely not so he could fry fish in the Spirit Arts District without anyone noticing. This time, Baiyu went through the Kororo Gate, the north gate of the Soul Society. It was also the closest gate to the First Division, which was usually responsible for guarding it. As he passed through, Baiyu couldn't help but feel a bit emotional. In a little over a century, Yawatch would stage his comeback, leading the Wandenrake to invade the Soul Society. It was at the Kororo Gate that Chojuro Sasakaibe, god of thunder, would be the first to be killed by a sword and have his Bankai stolen. In the 1,000-year blood war that followed, the Soul Society would be a hellish sea of fire, with lives lost and blood flowing like a river. Thinking of the tragedy to come, Baiyu clenched his fists. Sasakaibe is already so old. When he kicks the bucket, it'll be a happy funeral. But that whole area needs to stay intact. That way, he could play the hero, but for now, he needed to hurry up and fish. Any later, and the fish wouldn't bite. Just then, 2 gatekeepers appeared in front of him, one tall and the other short, wearing black Soul Reaper robes, with cold smiles plastered on their faces. One was over 6 feet tall, carrying a long sword, with a shaved head, narrow eyes, and red eyeshadow. The other was dressed like a spoiled rich kid, wearing fancy little pendants on his Soul Reaper robes. Baiyu recognized them instantly, Madarame Ikaku and Iasegawa Yumachika of the 11th Division. Seeing Baiyu in his bamboo hat, Ikaku's smile widened, and his eyes gleamed with excitement. Yumachika, I told you we'd catch up. Hey, you, are you Uehara Baiyu, the 7th seed of the 1st Division? Huh? How did you know I caught a 30-pound fish last time? Baiyu asked, tilting his head in confusion. Ikaku was taken aback, then turned to Yumachika, scratching his head. Did I say it wrong, or is something wrong with his ears? Yumachika glanced at Baiyu, smiled disdainfully, and stepped forward. I'm Iasegawa Yumachika, the 5th seed of the 11th Division, and he's Madarame Ikaku, the 3rd seed of the 11th Division. Uehara Baiyu, it's not polite to fool us like that. What origin? Uehara Baiyu. What white feather? Chapter 18. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In front of the Black Prism Gate, Uehara Shiraha chuckled, watching the two burly 11th Division guys radiating black energy. Relax, guys, it was just a joke, so, what's this about? Madarame Ikaku stepped forward, his towering frame radiating menace. Originally, we wanted to get back at that moron Aramaki Makizo. He's still bawling in the 4th Division barracks because of you, but, honestly, that's just a convenient excuse. A loser like him only has himself to blame. The real reason we're here is simple, we want to beat you and prove Captain Zaraki is the strongest. Yeah, taking down a 1st Division genius like you proves the 11th Division's on top, Ayasegawa Yumachika added. Uehara Shiraha turned serious. I think you should be realistic. You guys should challenge the 5th Division Captain, Aizen, first. If you can beat him, then come find me. At that point, I believe Captain Zaraki could lead the 11th Division to the moon. Bastard, are you saying you're stronger than the captain? Madarame Ikaku, done with the talk, drew his sword. Then, he held the scabbard and the long sword together. Grow, Hozukimaru. A surge of spiritual pressure erupted around him, and the sword transformed into a spear. Nothing else seemed to change. Looking at Hozukimaru, Uehara Shiraha thought. Of course it's you, Hozukimaru. Your Shirkai was shattered by a rookie Shinigami. Your Bankai. Buffed up, more broken than useful, then wrecked by an espada. It's so lame, like a geriatric stand-in. Is this bald dude hiding his Bankai because he's afraid of getting transferred, or just from sheer embarrassment? What's the matter? Scared? Ayasegawa Yumachika said smugly, seeing Uehara Shiraha's silence. Let me remind you, Ikaku's just the 3rd seat, but the 11th is a combat division. Among officers of the same rank, we're the strongest. You might be pretty, but a hothouse flower like you isn't going to last long. Such a waste of talent. Oh ho ho. He covered his mouth and giggled. Madarame Ikaku smirked, raised Hozukimaru, and pointed it at Uehara Shiraha. Don't worry, this will be quick. Won't take up too much of your time. Much obliged. Uehara Shiraha placed his hand on his sword hilt and stepped forward. Madarame's eyes narrowed slightly. Asterisk, here it comes. But the speed's pathetic. Is this all the 1st Division's got? Before the thought finished, he thrust forward with the spear, a flash of light as fast as lightning. Ayasegawa Yumachika shook his head. Facing Ikaku, and he won't even draw his sword or use his Shirkai. This is going to be a beatdown. But Madarame Ikaku's thrust hit nothing. They both stared, stunned. Where'd he go? Then Uehara Shiraha appeared behind Madarame Ikaku, holding his fishing rod in his left hand. His right hand slowly pulled away from his sword hilt. He whispered. White season, frozen time capsule. Huh. Madarame Ikaku felt a chill. Looking down, he saw a ring of white spreading rapidly from his feet. A huge, capsule-shaped ice cube completely encased Madarame Ikaku. Ayasegawa Yumachika was speechless. His carefully cultivated image of graceful beauty was completely forgotten. Ignoring Yumachika's stunned face, Uehara Shiraha raised his fishing rod and tapped Madarame Ikaku's frozen forehead a few times. Bang, bang, bang. Ding! Merit +1. Uehara Shiraha nodded in satisfaction. See? Didn't take long at all. A man of his word. Buddhism talks about sacrificing flesh to feed eagles. Funny, I just want to build a nest. How about you sacrificing yourself to feed the fish? I guarantee instant enlightenment. If you don't object, I'll take that as a yes. Yumachika was even more horrified. Feed the fish, and instant enlightenment. He knew Uehara Shiraha was probably joking, but the scene was so shocking. Ayasegawa Yumachika released his Zanpakuto and said sternly. Uehara Shiraha, we spoke too soon. Please show your ability. I thought you'd appreciate it. Madarame Ikaku's even more beautiful now. Uehara Shiraha stepped forward. Before Ayasegawa Yumachika could react, Uehara Shiraha was already far away. Then, the ice around Madarame Ikaku shattered, turning into clear water. Madarame Ikaku, coughing, said, So, the rumors are true. This is white season. Like Captain Zaraki, we're stuck in Shirkai mode. Madarame was sure of one thing, his opponent didn't have a Shirkai Zanpakuto, but he had used its abilities. We've been living in a bubble. Not beautiful at all. Ayasegawa Yumachika watched Uehara Shiraha disappear, still in shock. Zaraki Kenpachi's perpetual release. In the distance, Uehara Shiraha chuckled. Admiration's the farthest thing from understanding. You admire Kenpachi Zaraki so much, yet you don't understand him at all. Admiration is the feeling farthest from understanding. Aizen, arriving to investigate, overheard these words. He paused, his expression subtle. He'd sensed a vice-captain level spiritual pressure here. As captain, it was his duty to investigate, and he happened to hear that thought-provoking statement. Aizen composed himself and approached Uehara Shiraha. Uehara Shiraha, what happened here? That Uehara Shiraha looked at Aizen in his white captain's Haori, a hint of amazement in his eyes. Asterisk, he puts on a good face during the day, working himself to death at night. The man really has no social life. It isn't enough that he's smarter than you. He has to be more disciplined too. Sigma male, so scary, star that he cursed inwardly, but Uehara Shiraha's words dripped with flattery. Captain Aizen. Just a friendly spar between colleagues. You're truly dedicated. The captain commander made the right choice in making you captain. The wisest decision he's ever made. Aizen smiled at the praise. No, I was just lucky. The future belongs to geniuses like Uehara Shiraha. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Here, Uehara Baiyu didn't want to linger with Aizen for too long. He knew Aizen had just noticed his eyes and was already cooking up something. As a meticulous perfectionist, Aizen's control over details was unmatched. Otherwise, he couldn't have used Kyoka Suigetsu, Mirror Flower, Water Moon, to such a perfect degree, manipulating everyone with just a sword. Remember, Kyoka Suigetsu only controls the 5 senses. Directly altering someone's perception is Shinji Hirako's Zanpakuto, Sakane's job. Therefore, when using Kyoka Suigetsu, you need to adjust the parameters to make everything seem real, and Aizen could make every detail flawless. That's just him. After a few casual words, Uehara Baiyu picked up his fishing rod and smiled at Aizen. Sorry for the interruption. If I catch a big one, I'll treat the guys to a feast. Then, Uehara Baiyu turned and left, humming the tune to Big Fish Begonia. Watching him go, Aizen smiled slightly. A flicker of something unreadable flashed in his eyes, disappearing instantly without a trace. Once he reached Rukongai, Uehara Baiyu's pace quickened. He moved swiftly, soon arriving in the desolate wilderness of District 12, North Rukongai. It was a perfect spot, sparsely populated but rich in resources. Uehara Baiyu settled on a boulder and dropped his fishing line into the lake below. While enjoying the peace and quiet of fishing, he opened his character panel. Name, Uehara Shiraha, Hakuha. Position, 7th seat of the 1st Division, Ryatsu, 3rd class spiritual power, captain level, Zanpakuto, Hairinmaru, 2nd stage Shirkai, swordsmanship, vice captain level, Hakuda, high-ranking officer level, Kido, captain level, Shuanpa, captain level. Abilities, Point 1. Shadow Clone Technique, B-class ability, mastered. Point 2. Stand, White Album, S-class ability, mastered. Point 3. Breathing method, Sun Breathing, B-class ability, proficient. Tools. 1. Camouflage glasses, B-class item, Kryptonian creation. Point 2. 5. Thunder Curse, C-class item, cultivation talisman. Point 3. Death Aura gloves, D-class item, supernatural creation. Point 4. Horse talisman, A-class item, magical creation. My Shuanpa's leveled up. Looks like Yoruchi is a pretty good sparring partner. I didn't realize fighting strong opponents would improve my abilities so much. My Shuanpa was already close, but without sparring with Yoruchi, it would have taken months to master it. Man, alcohol and women are a waste of time. I've missed out on so many opportunities to get stronger. Starting today, I'm quitting drinking. To celebrate, I'll hit up the red light district for a drink tonight. Perfect decision. After closing his character panel, Uehara Baiyu opened the task log panel. First, the summary of daily tasks. As of yesterday, 7,251 daily tasks completed, rewarding a total of 14,502 random attribute points. Next, the summary of special tasks. Point 1. Completed, Special Task 1, Tour Rukongai, Reward, Shadow Clone, B-level ability. Point 2. Completed, Special Task 2, Join the Maou Spiritual Arts Academy, Reward, Death Aura Gloves, D-level item. Point 3. Completed, Special Task 3, Obtain Asachi, Reward, Stand, White Album, S-level ability. Point 4. Completed, Special Task 4, Blade Meditation Practice, Converse with your Blade, Reward, 5 Thunder Curse, C-level item. Point 5. Completed, Special Task 5, Graduate as Top Student and Join the Godai 13, Reward, Camouflage Glasses, B-level item. Point 6. Completed, Special Task 6, Achieve Recognition in the First Division, Reward, Breathing of the Sun, B-level ability. Point 7. Completed, Special Task 7, Witness the Birth of the Visored, Reward, Horse Talisman, A-level item. Looking at the full list of rewards, Uehara Baiyu was satisfied. This was all his hard work paying off. However, after another half hour, his face soured. Where are the fish? Where are the fish? Where are my fish? Just as he was wondering which Keto spells were environmentally friendly and pollution-free, a roar echoed across the distant mountain. At the same time, he felt a surge of spiritual pressure. I knew it wasn't my fishing skills, someone's messing with me. Uehara Baiyu's eyes lit up, he put away his rod, ready to get some answers. Soon after he left, the system chimed, ding. Congratulations on completing the daily task, fishing. Rewards, +1 Hakuta, +1 swordsmanship. Uehara Baiyu nodded. Those aren't unearned points. I'm not going home empty-handed. He vanished. Reaching the mountaintop, Uehara Baiyu saw a young Shinigami furiously attacking a boulder. Why? Why did you abandon me? I'll become a captain and prove you wrong. You'll regret this. The girl wore a Shinigami uniform similar to Yoruchi's, but had a white captain's haori draped loosely over her shoulders and chest. Even with the haori, her figure was noticeably flat. This small, unassuming girl was the new captain of the second division, Soifan. Hearing Soifan's wronged girlfriend muttering, Uehara Shiraha chuckled. Who's there? Soifan spun around, instantly alert. She saw Uehara Shiraha in his Shinigami uniform, her gaze sharpened. Did you hear all that? Nope, didn't hear a thing. My ears are terrible. If you don't believe me, ask the bald guy in the 10th division. Uehara Baiyu subtly backed away. It was one thing to watch the show, but it was another to get dragged into it. Soifan might look easy to push around, but it was best not to get involved. Soifan's face darkened, and she vanished. Ice release. Uehara Baiyu reacted instantly, drawing Hyarinmaru and swinging it. How did he react so fast? Faced with the unfamiliar Zanpakuto, Soifan retreated, her eyes narrowing. A layer of frost had already formed in front of her, a wave of extreme cold was spreading outward. A flicker of recognition crossed Soifan's face. A permanently released ice-type Zanpakuto. You're Uehara Shiraha, the 7th seed of the 1st division. That jerk. That's right, Shiraha Uehara at your service. Shiraha Uehara said, feigning pride, Captain Soifan, I'm a genius favored by Captain Commander Yamamoto. You wouldn't really hurt me, would you? I'll be in charge of the Onmitsukido soon. I can make up whatever charges I want. The word icy was written all over Soifan's face. She might not kill him, but she could give him a little physical amnesia. Chapter 20. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Facing Soifang's aggression, Uehara Shiraha sighed, typical Soifang, your heart's got more venom than a wasp's stinger. Then, his eyes hardened. Fine, I've got no choice but to fight. I'm betting the good name of Captain General Yamamoto of the 1st Division that I'll survive this. Soifang just rolled her eyes at Uehara's empty words. Is that all he's got? Uehara paused, then continued, or I could just spread the word about your secret crush on the wanted criminal Shihoin Yoruchi all over the Soul Society. You son of a bitch. Soifong's heart leaped into her throat. Her whole body went numb, then flooded with rage, her eyes blazing. She wished she had Ryujin Jaka right now so she could burn him to a crisp. Without another thought, Soifong gripped her Zanpakuto and released it. Sting all enemies to death, Suzumabachi. Instantly, a long, golden blade like a bee stinger appeared on her right middle finger. At the same time, a palpable wave of murderous intent and crushing pressure washed over Uehara. Looking at this youthful version of fury, Uehara cursed under his breath. Okay, maybe I went a little too far. Guess the Tsundere just went full Yandra on me. He didn't hesitate. He bolted, Soifong sneered. Showing off Shunpa in front of the secret mobile corps and the Xing army's elite. Please. But her laughter died in her throat. This Uehara Shiraha was seriously fast. And he seemed to anticipate her Shunpa patterns, dodging them every time, so, the two of them tore through the Rukongai jungle, one chasing the other. Aren't you even a little cold? Uehara called out, genuinely confused. Did losing your love freeze your heart and turn you into a cold-blooded killer? He tried using the White Album's power to freeze her, but it hadn't worked. Soifong gritted her teeth, pushing herself even faster. If she wasn't clinging to the last shreds of her reason, and if he wasn't so damn fast, she'd have used her Bankai to obliterate him. Then, they flashed past each other. Another bee pattern marked Uehara Shiraha's shoulder. Actually, it was a black butterfly-like pattern. If Suzumabachi struck the same spot twice, it was a guaranteed kill, 2 hits to kill. That was Soifong's Zanpakuto's deal, but honestly, it sounded better on paper. It's not like it ever actually connected with anyone in the show. The one time it did, it was to pump up Aizen, giving him the chance to say that classic line, the battle between soul reapers is a battle of spiritual pressure. So, Uehara didn't sweat it. Instead, he carefully observed Soifong. He noticed that she was enveloped in a layer of condensed spiritual pressure. This shield protected her from the freezing effect. I see. This is the deep development of high-density spiritual pressure, the prototype of Shunkai. Uehara realized, in the world of Bleach, spiritual pressure and physical strength are the foundation. The higher your stats, the greater your resistance and ability. Soifong could use her highly trained body and strong spiritual pressure to withstand the power of his stand, the White Album, but it wasn't without its drawbacks. The cold was slowing her down and she was burning through spiritual pressure like crazy. An idea sparked in Uehara's mind. He started pretending to be exhausted, beads of sweat popping on his forehead. He's sweating. He's almost at his limit. Soifong thought, relieved. I'm a captain. A mere 7th seat can't possibly outlast me in spiritual pressure. She slowed down, deciding to grind him into the dust. Soon, Soifong was sure Uehara's spiritual pressure was nearly gone. His breathing was ragged. He was clearly on his last legs. She was already picturing the sweet revenge of torturing him. 5 minutes later, Uehara Baiyu was panting like an old hound, his body shaking, running on fumes. Soifong felt vindicated. 10 minutes later, Uehara Baiyu's face was ghostly, on the verge of collapse. His energy was running out. 15 minutes later, Uehara Baiyu was on the verge of collapse. His energy was running out. His energy was running out. You liar. You're a liar. Soifong roared, chasing him all the way from Area 12. He hadn't burned through his spiritual pressure at all. If anything, he was burning through hers. The shameless bastard. Suddenly, Soifong realized, Area 1. Oh no. Murder. The captain of the 2nd Division is trying to silence me. Captain Aizen, help me. Uehara Shiraha shouted as he reached the black prism gate. Yelling, he sped through the gate. He didn't forget to fire an ice ball, to seal it behind him. A black shadow flashed, and Soifong, white feathers trailing, burst through the black prism gate into the Soul Society. Ice crystals fell behind her, shimmering with an eerie light. Soifong's face was a mask of ice as she watched Uehara Shiraha disappear. The murderous intent in her eyes could have burned down buildings, the First Division's territory was ahead. She couldn't chase him any further. How could a mere 7th seat make a captain look like a fool? What a disgrace. It wasn't long after Uehara Shiraha's return to the Soul Society that an outrageous rumor began to spread like wildfire. Have you heard? Uehara Shiraha got chased and nearly killed because he was flirting with Soifang, the captain of the 2nd Division. What I heard was that Uehara Shiraha dumped Captain Soifang after they were having an affair. Wait, I heard she got pregnant. Uehara cursed under his breath as he heard these bizarre stories in the Flower District. Damn it. I haven't even started spreading rumors, and I'm already the star of them. Is this what it's like to be bullied? He and Soifang were enemies now, but with the 1st Division backing him, Uehara Shiraha wasn't worried. That was why he joined the 1st Division in the first place. Captain Yamamoto was in great health, he could definitely take the heat. Uehara Shiraha had just arrived at his usual haunt when he heard a lazy, flippant voice. Well, isn't this Captain's wife, Uehara Shiraha? When's the wedding? Uehara Shiraha looked up to see Kairaku Shunsui, decked out in a flashy outfit and a bamboo hat, winking at him. He noticed the dark circles under his eyes. Uehara Shiraha smiled. Passing by Keiko's room last night, I thought I heard you yelling, I'm not usually like this. You have to believe me. You've been working overtime, Lord Kairaku Shunsui. Several of the geishas couldn't help but giggle.